All right, welcome back to Developing Hurricanes, the only podcast that only talks about Carolina Hurricanes prospects and absolutely nothing else, because if we mention anything else, we're completely wrong. Did you know that Alexander Nikishin by Dom Luszczyszyn's game score is currently the, I believe, 8th best offensive player in the NHL?
Yeah, we've also played 2 games.
Yeah, that's different. Um, yeah, I said it perfectly. Sample size be damned. That boy can hoop.
He,
I'm
he,
not
he
wrong.
can hoop.
In any case, yes, welcome back to Developing Hurricanes. I am Nick, and then that is Matt, my co-host. Matt, how are you?
I'm great. Hockey's back, like officially. The Canes are back. I finally regained my voice from the other night,
Good
um,
for you.
and I'm just ready to go.
Oh, you're going to talk a little longer there. Okay. Yeah, there's been a lot of hockey being played. Everybody, I think, got introduced to a couple things that have happened recently in the hockey sphere for Hurricanes fans. I think I've been decently happy with some performances recently, and probably decently disappointed with some other things that happened recently. So I'm gonna tackle injuries first. We're gonna get the injuries thing out of the way first. Um, Semyon Frolov got hurt in his most recent start. After watching the injury a few times, the only way that I can really describe what it looked like was it kind of just looked like an upper body injury. He seemed to be grabbing at his hand arm area. I could be wrong, but that is what it looked like to me. I also watched that on my phone at a Lightning game, the injury, or I was watching it somewhere that wasn't near me, so I couldn't watch it a ton. So I don't know what happened with him, but I would expect Frolov to be out for a little bit of time, which is awful because my God, he's been so good to start his year off, and it sucks for the guy that is probably the Canes. Well, not probably. He is the number one goalie prospect in the system, but it's going to suck not being able to watch him for a couple of weeks, probably.
Yeah, it stinks. I'm hoping there's the intern. I don't know if you were able to hear that.
It came through on my end.
Yeah, he went to puppy class today, so he's a little
Good for him.
ornery. Yeah, I mean,
And then he,
Frolov, I think it's a minor injury. I don't think it's anything major. So hopefully he'll come back pretty soon.
I haven't asked or seen anything, so
Yeah,
I
and
had no
so
idea.
I feel like we would have seen something by now that said like, "Oh, he's out for a while." So
I need to go back and go through the coach's press conference from that day. I was not at home. I was in Tampa on break, which was awesome. I won a lot of money on a blackjack table, so I was really happy about that. Um,
yeah,
Other than
I've
that,
seen you've used it on a new camera.
this is not a new camera. This is the
I know
same.
your video quality is horrible. That's the joke.
Yeah, the Riverside really likes to, because we use Riverside. I don't have the however much money it costs to get the nice fancy one from StreamYard. So we're doing this, buddy. We're going. I think it's $19 a month until somebody gives us a lot more money than I have. In any case, Roman Balsov still hurt. Haven't seen anything from MHK Dynamo St. Petersburg, if I'm correct in that one. Haven't seen anything. Haven't seen any practice posts or anything like that. He's still just hasn't played. My full expectation at this point is that he'll just get in the lineup and they'll be like, "Hey, he's back," and I'll be like, "Okay, cool, thank
Yeah,
you." Um, I really want to see him because he's cool. The other one that I just had to remember to put in was Philip Ekberg, who on Ottawa 67's injury report is listed as sick and hasn't played in, I want to say, a week and a half, two
that
weeks
sounds
maybe.
about right.
So I don't know what's going on there, but he hasn't played, and all he is listed as is sick. So
Yeah, and he had 1 point in his first 3 games. Like, I think this dude's immune system might just be terrible because, from what I heard, he was sick a lot of last year too.
I don't know if that's supposed to be a joke of he's bad or he's genuinely actually his immune system is bad.
Like, he just seems to get sick a lot. It's not really like a like concerning level, but it's like, dude, you were sick for a lot of last year, and you're already sick this year. Like,
Oh, that box. Sorry, I'm trying to mess with stuff.
that's all good.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of sucks because when he was healthy last year, he was really, really good. But it kind of, got to take him to a doctor of some kind to figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
How does one strengthen their immune system? I don't.
yeah, it's a diet
Uh,
thing.
oh well, tell him to like eat more fruit.
Just get better, LOL.
Oh, okay. Get better genetics, nerd.
Yeah, right.
Um, and then guy coming back from injury recently, Kerbin Limitov. He's actually looked really good. I got really bored in my last class before break, so I watched. It was Semyon Frolov and Spartak Moscow versus Timur Kol and Kerbin Limitov, and that game was really fun. A lot of scoring, which sucks for Frolov, but he did end up winning the game. But Timur Kol is really good. He's I would say a very top end MHL defenseman at this point. I think at some point he'll get a KHL and VHL look, just kind of waiting on when. He's really good. Kerbin Limitov, since coming back from injury, has looked really good, and it's kind of awesome to watch him play because he's just big. He moves really smooth, and he loves to break the puck out from his own zone. He's very adept at breaking out, whether it be just taking it himself in transition or he's passing it to a teammate. He loves doing it, and he's very good at it. So it's something that I'd say is one of his better traits alongside his skating. So it made for a very fun watch, if anything else, while I was zoning out.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we've got guys like Alexander Sieryatsky still doing really well. He's averaging about like 12 to 14 minutes a night, and only 2 points so far, but his team is doing really well this year. They only have 4 losses, and one of them is in overtime.
Yeah. Did you see one? Mikhail Fyodorov scored the goal, but did you see who had the primary assist on the only goal that Sieryatsky has an assist from?
No.
Big Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Oh,
Evgeny Kuznetsov plays for Metallurg, which is hilarious to me.
that's right, because he did not get an NHL deal.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it. Um, yeah, sticking in Russia. Let's do because the other one might take a minute to get through. Sochi, the greatest team of all time in Russia, the most normal and sane front office organization that I've ever seen ran before. They have terminated their agreement with MHL side Kapitan Stupino and VHL side HK Rostov.
It's
I
just the
mean,
VHL side.
oh wait, hold on. Let me.
Yeah, it's
There's
just
an
the VHL side, but it now means that players from their MHL team can no longer get loaned to Rostov, which would probably explain why Avramov has not gotten a look
Oh,
at.
it ended. Okay, so it ended the connection between. It ended the connection. Okay, I got it. I figured. Yep, you're right. So yeah, for anybody asking why Abramov hasn't gotten a VHL look, I think that plays a small role in it. Um, but also, I can't answer. Sometimes there's not an explanation for what happens, and unfortunately, this is one of those situations where I don't honestly think there's a lot of explanation for what is happening with him. I don't really know how else to say that. So let's tackle the Orange Cassidy in the room, which um I thought I used that analogy pretty well the more I thought about it whenever I was doing it. Um I was writing the 16 thoughts and I was like I kind of want to use a reference here and I wanted to relate a song to a prospect. And then I went a step further and went, okay, I can actually use the wrestler that uses this walkout song as a comparison for the prospect because it kind of lines up. So I wanted to use Where Is My Mind by the Pixies, and the wrestler that comes out to that song is Orange Cassidy, who wrestles in AEW, which is what I primarily watch at this point. And Orange Cassidy is extremely over with the fans. He is a very simple wrestler. He comes out in sweatpants that looks like blue jeans. His wrestling style is very simple. He does nothing over the top. Everything is just very relaxed, calm. Nothing really like special about him except sometimes he's a high flyer and sometimes he can do some cool stuff. But he's extremely over. And I use that
And
to
his
compare
entrance song,
is Where Is My Mind? Yes.
that
It
is a
was
horrible entrance song.
it was what was the other song? It was something else for a while and I can't remember the name of it, but it was like It was another popular song. Um, but yeah, I related that to Nikita Artamonov, and it's because this year he kind of is simple. Whatever he did last year to become good has kind of just regressed and reversed to him just becoming a very simple player. His attacks, there's nothing over the top good. He's kind of just slowed down. He's straight line. He's not trying to make a lot of things happen. He's just kind of going with the motions, coasting. You could even use Columbus Blue Jackets Pierre-Luc Dubois as an example on that one shift where he just looked downright atrocious and barely skated. He just looks bad. Um, so this is probably the worst start you could have imagined for any prospect going into the season after they just had one of the best KHL U20 seasons of all time. Is cannot get a foothold in the KHL at all, and your MHL team, which isn't spectacular this year, is also not. You're still struggling with the VHL team, so it's a really bad start for Nikita Artamonov, who I want to see right the ship, but he is currently the Orange Cassidy of the Carolina Hurricanes prospect system.
Yeah, I think with him, like I've when I've watched him play, I've always been like, man, is he really the number two guy in the system? And the answer's been kind of like yes, but for a while. Like, yeah, he had that really good year, and yeah, he was having a few moments, but he's not the most skilled. He's not the quickest. I don't think he does anything particularly well at an elite level. I think he's smart, and I think he gets to the right places, and that's how he was able to find a lot of success last year. Is he was able to get to the right places, and he's got a good enough shot and good enough passing ability to, produce. But there's no
Oh,
creativity in his game. He's not smart, like with the puck on his stick. Like he doesn't have the high end puck skills, so he's super predictable. And like I remember thinking, like when he fell out of the first round and Carolina picked him at 52, my first thought wasn't, wow, this is such a steal for Carolina. It was, okay, what caused him to fall this far? Because clearly NHL teams are seeing something that the public's not seeing, right? Typically when a player falls, it's that. Come to find out, it's the fact that Artamonov's game is just devoid of creativity.
I think a big thing also is that his shooting percentage went from like 7 to 21 in a year, which is a little bit insane.
Yeah, it's a little
So
unsustainable.
ever so, I mean, I think I made a few jokes about that last year. Like, hey man, I don't know if a 21% shooting percentage is translatable year over year for a super young player, but it'd be funny if it was. Turns out it isn't. Who would have guessed it? Not me. Let me tell you what. Um, I think we're going to come back to some questions about Russia. I have to double check my questions, but yeah, that's another thing. At the end of what we got to talk about, we'll take some questions from the audience that we asked for before we started doing this, which is kind of fun, and we'll probably do it a little bit more. Not going to
Yeah,
say it's
taking
going to
more of
happen
a
every day.
mailbag each episode would be fun.
We can try. Yeah, we'll find, especially because we only do this once a month. Even though probably shouldn't be once a month, it probably should be a little bit more often. But life is
Once a
busy.
month ish.
Yeah, life is busy. Um, Slowly making our way back west from Russia. We're going to take a quick stop in Sweden, where a late pick from last year is having some nice success, and maybe it's because his shooting percentage is insanely high. But we're not going to go over that. Viggo Nordlund, the six round pick in 25, got loaned out to the Hockey Allsvenskan, Sweden's second tier of hockey. Probably the best place for him because he was not there to get a SHL spot, at least yet. And so far, I think the results are positive. I think a lot of it has to do with a pretty high shooting percentage, if I had to bet, because he hasn't taken more than 3 shots in a game, and he's played 8 games and has 5 goals. So it might be a little high. And I think at least 2 of those are on the power plays. So again, a little skewed. But for a 19-year-old undersized winger playing in a league that he has not played in before, as well as it being the second highest tier of Swedish hockey, I think it's a very nice start for Vigo.
Yeah, he's getting power play time. Two of his last three goals are power plays or power play goals. He actually has goals in three straight games.
Yes he does.
And all five of his goals have come in the last five games. Um,
Yes.
he's playing really
Well,
well. Um, Averaging about 13 minutes a night, so not a ton of ice time for
he's
him.
he's playing mainly third line,
Yeah.
and he's playing third line with, if I'm not mistaken, Herman Traff, current Ducks prospect, but was drafted by the Devils, and I think Joel Svensson a little bit, who's a fifth round pick last year from Chicago,
Okay.
but he's kind of been up and down the lineup. So
But that's fine. You know, he's playing well. I mean, he is on the older side for prospects drafted last year, being a September birthday. So he's already 19 years old. This is right where he needs to be, though. He had 15 games in the SHL last year. He was a point per game player last year, and the year before in U20 he was almost a point per game, and then had a ridiculous playoff, obviously. So you know there wasn't anything left for him to prove at that level. So going up to the Swedish second tier is a really nice jump for him. I'm really happy, and he's got 3 assists in 4 games with the U20 team too, like the
that was
Swedish national team.
yeah, that, if I'm not mistaken, that was at the U18s in wherever that place was.
Should have been the World Junior Summer Showcase.
Definitely was that. It was definitely that, because that was the one that happened over the summer,
Yep.
and that is, yeah, because I remember that was the first time watching Ekberg and Nordlund. Okay,
Yeah, I think
glad to
Nordlund
remember.
actually has a chance to make the World Junior roster this year. He's pretty good.
As long as he keeps producing, I think, because trying to think of who else, like, because ASP is, I think, too old, and also Detroit would not let him go.
He's also a defenseman.
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking of players in my head, man. Um, I can't really. I mean, obviously, you're gonna have the Frondell, Eklund, Vigo Bjork. Is it Bjork? I think that's how you pronounce that. The whole
I think both
Jew,
Yorks get on that roster.
yeah, the whole Jew Garden trio. Um, and there's probably a couple other guys. Herman Traff, I think, made the team last year. I think he probably gets a look this year as well. So there's a lot of guys that'll probably he'll probably be close. I think if he continues the season he has, I think it'll be kind of hard to leave him out just because of the dynamicism in his game. Words are hard, folks. So yeah, let's go talk about college, where I currently am. We're gonna go from least amount of points to most amount of points. So we're going to start with a top line forward from Michigan, and Michigan is a very loaded team. Just beat Providence back-to-back games, mainly thanks to Jack Ivankovich and net. But Jaden Perron, who transferred from the University of North Dakota to Michigan, has been playing mainly on their top line and has seen mixed results. Mainly because it's almost impressive that in a game where it was 11-1, he somehow managed to not get a point, which is weird. And in complete honesty, I have not watched Michigan games this year. I've been a little preoccupied with one of the other guys on this list that has become must-see Hurricanes prospect television. So, I mean, this is a big year for Perron, and his ice time has kind of only gone down since the start of the year, from 15 down to 11. So it's probably not the start he's looking for, but this Michigan team is loaded, and it's going to be a good team. So hopefully he'll kind of find his place where he wants to be to produce and contribute there, but it's not the greatest start for him.
Yeah, it's definitely a concerning start, I would say, because, I think with Perron, the hope was that he would take a step forward this year. Obviously, it's early. We haven't really seen it so far. And with him, he's a smaller player with a lot of physical limitations. He's not the strongest player. He's not overly physical, he's not super willing to, play off of contact and all that. So, he needs to be elite offensively, and he just hasn't been. And so that's a real concern for me.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a long season, so hopefully he can get better as the season goes on. It's just not the best start ever. Now, here the most interesting player to me going into this college season was Justin Poirier, because making the transition from junior hockey, not junior college, junior hockey in the QMJHL to college is a jump. Bradley Nadeau took a bigger jump just because, no disrespect to the BCHL, but BCHL to college is a little bit of a bigger jump than QMJHL to college. So
Mm-hmm.
it's something I was really interested in, and I will give credit. I will give leniency just because Holy Cross is not the best hockey program out there. But it does say something that in your first college hockey game, you get a hat trick with 8 shots on goal. Only one of them came on the power play as well, and that
Yep.
was in 18 minutes of ice time. He's been used primarily as a top line left winger, the top line left winger for Maine, and he was spectacular in that first game. The second game, 4 penalty minutes, still gets a primary assist, and even with the 4 penalty minutes, he still plays 16 minutes, which
Mm-hmm.
is kind of cool. So it seems as if he's earned the trust of the main coaching staff early, and they want him to be their go-to kind of shooter. And man, it's hard to deny 3 goals in your first game and 4 points in your first 2 college hockey games. Um, his play style is just so interesting for a 5 foot. I mean, he's listed 5'8". His play style is just so interesting for a 5'8" player that I was just taken, and I wanted to see how it would translate. And so far, at least in the first game and the second game, it translated really well.
Mm-hmm.
And this weekend is going to provide a much bigger test because they have Quinnipiac. But again, that was a start that I was really looking forward to seeing. And Justin Poirier kind of blew it out of the water so far.
Yeah, Poirier is really interesting to me. Like, he's probably the second best shooter in the system behind Nadeau.
Hmm, I'll give it that.
He's quick. He's scrappy. He does play to contact a little better than a lot of smaller forwards do. And I think he's just really good at getting into areas that can lead to goals. And as we saw against Holy Cross, it does not take a whole lot of space for this dude to find it and score. Like, he is good. I love that every single one of his shots, every single one of his goals was just an
Down
absolute
on a knee.
rip.
Down on a knee, just rip
Just
it
an
in. I kind of mentioned
absolute rip of a shot,
that
and that was incredible.
it's kind of what Nadeau did as well at Maine, was that he loved to just get down on one knee and just put every bit of power into it. And it kind of felt like some of those goals that he had were very Nadeau-esque, and that kind of made me happy because that was just some fun.
Yeah, I think if he can be like a diet Bradley Nadeau, I think that's a really
I
solid.
mean, we'll talk about Nadeau in a little bit, but you kind of see how Nadeau's post draft does look like, and I mean, if you can get something
Mm-hmm.
close to that, I think you'd have a heck of a hockey player.
Well, and also Poirier, it should be noted, just turned 19 a month ago.
Yeah, and to the point about getting to the areas, he loves to get to the middle. One of the
Yep.
biggest things that we speak about. That dude is 5'8", 100. I'll give him 90 pounds after some college food. Um, And that man will get to the middle like nobody's business because he knows what to do. And I think that's sick, especially for a smaller winger. That's a pretty good skill to have. So I'm a
Yeah,
very
that's a
big
big
fan of
deal,
that.
and I think that's why the Canes wanted him to go to college hockey, is because you're going to play against more physical competition, you're going to play against older competition, more experienced competition. Getting to the middle of the ice is much harder in that league than it is in the Q. And so
Yeah.
if he can do that at that level, that's going to help him succeed in the pros.
And so far it's just against Holy Cross, but he saw success with it, and that was the most
Mm-hmm.
important thing. Now let's talk about the big one. Let's talk about Chuck. 5 points in game one against a ranked Penn State or ranked Arizona State. Sorry. He got a primary assist in game two, but also provided a great net front screen on the power play that gave Gavin McKenna a goal. 3 points in a loss to Holy Cross, or not Holy Cross. Gosh, I suck today. Clarkson, sorry, who I was stand corrected, was a very good team last year and seems to still be a good team this year. And then a 1+1 against Clarkson in the return game for a total of 3 goals, 8 points, 11 or 8 assists. I suck today. 11 points in 4 games while playing center in college hockey, as well as averaging as going for 17 minutes, 19 minutes, 21 minutes, 20 minutes as a center, even getting what looks to be a game misconduct in his last game. That would be Charlie, as I've been told, Chuck Cerrato. My God, I remember draft day two. I kind of had a reaction of I don't know who this guy is, and I feel as if that was a failure on my part because I hadn't seen anything about Charlie Cerrato, and I'll take full blame for that. But after the first 2 weekends of college hockey, I'm very disappointed I knew nothing about this kid because, oh my God, when you watch him play, it is enjoyable. The things that stick out to me the most are he goes. He goes. It's like they put a supercharged battery in his back every time he steps on the ice. And his offensive involvement is extremely high. He loves to just create offense, whether that be for his teammates, which he has done, and it's mainly primary points for those assists as well. I don't know how many secondary assists he actually has, but I think most of them are primary points, at least over half. So he's been insanely good, and it's been in transition. It's been on the power play. It's been when you need him, he's there. And he has just been an absolutely unbelievably downright stupid player so far for a Penn State team where he has basically overshadowed Gavin McKenna, which is insanely cool that he's done it.
Yeah, I mean, Serrano, I think when the Canes drafted him, my thought was, oh, okay, this is a guy that probably just needs another year of college hockey and then turns pro.
Yep. Which we'll talk about in a little bit because
Yeah, so I don't want to get too much into that, but like, why? And then I watched him at Dev Camp, and I was like, oh, like this kid's got like some offensive skill. Like he's definitely got some snarl to his game as we saw him fight. It was Ryabkin. Ryabkin, or no, it was
Rykov.
Rykov was they were jawing at each other. And
Cerrato was getting under a lot of people's skin at Dev Camp.
and I think that's just the way he plays. He plays with such an intensity, and it's really exciting because now we're seeing the offensive side of his game. He was in like the two-way center role in junior, and like he has a really solid two-way game, and like we've seen
Yes.
now, he combines the good skating and the really good compete with underrated offensive skill, and I think that honestly shows that he can be a good middle six center type.
Yeah, this is a guy I kind of saw as just like a very high floor pick. But now that I've kind of watched him play, he still has the high floor because of his ability to play center number one. And he's been decent in the faceoff dot, as well as just what he does offensively. I mean, that game against Arizona State was genuinely the best prospect game I've watched in a hot minute for any Canes prospect because, dear God, he just took it over. He
Yeah,
went out there and every single shift he made something happen. most of the time was a grade A chance. A lot of the time it ended up in the back of the net because that's just what Cerrato does. He just generates good quality offense, whether that be in transition or whether that just be straight up. There was also a lot of the time where he would win a faceoff and just immediately be in front of the net. I had it clipped, but there was one time where he just won a faceoff. It went straight through the defender's legs. He got around the center and just immediately had the puck with a goalie. And it's just small stuff like that combined with a lot of other things in his game that just make him insanely impressive to watch. And again, we'll talk about it a little bit more in the questions, but that's something really good. Speaking of the questions,
hold
actually,
on.
no, let's do AHL first.
I have
I'm so
one more
sorry.
thing. I have one more thing to say about Cerrato.
Okay, sorry.
So with Cerrato, I think what's exciting about him and why I think he can stick at center. He drives play, like you were saying.
Yes.
Like he's one of those guys that doesn't just sit back and wait for the play to come to him. No, he creates the play. He draws the attention to himself and then has the wherewithal to distribute the puck to his teammates. That is an underrated asset. And honestly, there's a lot of projectability with that type of skill set.
Yes, that was my biggest thing in the games I have watched. Whatever line he is on, he drives the line. And that
Yes.
is the biggest thing, one of the bigger things an NHL center needs to have the ability to do. And he does it very well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into AHL first before we tackle questions. Okay. Please, internet gods, if you F with me, internet gods, please stay with me. Please. Actually work for a little bit of time so I can get this done. Okay, let's talk about the AHL finally. The Wolves played one game this weekend. They didn't play two, didn't play anything else. They just played the one against the Iowa Wild. And man, what a successful opener for the Chicago Wolves. I was very nervous because I was at the Lightning game during this and you were at the Hurricanes game during this. And within 5 minutes, Miftakov already gave up a goal and I went, oh dear God in heaven, please don't. And, credit to Amir Miftakov. Didn't give up another one. 22 out of 23, only the one goal against. Not too bad for your first AHL start in 3 years, I think. 2 years, 3 years, something like
Two, I
that.
think.
Yeah, so good for him. Bradley Nadeau continues to be a very good guy on the power play, at least. He just makes me smile thinking about a Bradley Nadeau power play goal every Friday, Saturday night. This makes me happy. His assist was also really nice too. A really good line rush with him, Fensore, and Suzuki, if I'm not mistaken, at even strength, which is very good. Something I wanted to see was more involvement, him even strength, and I thought his play there was very nice. Dominic Fensore as well looked like a very strong number one left-handed defenseman for an AHL team. He killed a lot of penalties. He was the primary power play quarterback. He looked good in both regards. It was just everything was very nice there for Dominic Fensore. Justin Robida, the right winger, I thought they would stick him at center, had 2 points. I think one was primary, one was secondary for both assists. I don't have the thing pulled up. I just have a regular box score here, so I'm not 100% sure. But he also looked really good. I thought the top line, and I will talk about this because somebody asked a question about it for the mailbag. So I thought the top line was really, really good. It was a really strong top line for the Wolves to ice, and I think they did a very good job doing what they were supposed to do. Felix Unger-Sorum got his first goal of the year as a net front on the power play. He cleaned up a little rebound. Good for Felix. Nikita Pavlichev, who is not a prospect, gets a goal. It was just an empty netter where he somehow won a foot race. Ryan Suzuki, the center for that top line, got 2 assists as well, and he also looked really good alongside that whole top line. I thought the Wolves, this was about as good as a performance you could really ask for a very, very young team, and still missing a couple players, and now they're going to be missing their top pairing right-handed defenseman for a little bit as he goes out west to join the Hurricanes, Mr. Charles Alexis Legault with the Canes for the next couple of days, maybe a week, depending on how long they're going to keep him out there with no Slavin. So it's definitely nice to see that rewarded for his nice preseason. But yeah, Wolves had a very, very good game.
Yeah, I think Robideau's on the wing because that's where the Canes want him to be. I think that's where they see him
Fair enough, yeah.
contributing at the NHL level. And so, I think that that's smart. Yeah, not really a ton of comments on it. It was a good opener. It's
I
good to
also
see
didn't.
Nadeau do well.
I only watched bits and pieces, mainly during intermission and when the Lightning were down 3-0 in the first period. So
Yeah, well, yeah.
that game was awful, by the way. I won't talk about the Lightning, but God, that game sucked. And their arena's small. It felt cramped.
Yeah, Emily, I know, is a kind of weird arena.
Excuse me. It's benchmark.
When did they change it?
I think this year.
Oh, I was gonna say, like,
all
okay.
the signs are still Emily, but the arena is the benchmark something. The thing I really honestly wanted to talk about with the Wolves is they made a decision at their goalie position, and I think it's a bad one. They sent Ruslan Hajayev to the Greensboro Gargoyles, the ECHL affiliate, the Spitting Chicklets team, I guess we can call it, because that's basically what it is. The ownership group is made up of a lot of the Spitting Chicklets group. And for me, it's weird to see a team that brought in a Russian goaltender to be their number one guy at the AHL level, or potentially their number three at the NHL level before the preseason incident occurred. And now you're going to go, hey, you're 20 years old. How do you want to spend time in Greensboro instead of Chicago with a ton of other Russian players? We're going to prioritize Nikita Quap's development, or maybe not development, but we're going to prioritize Nikita Quap, who is 22 years old, coming off a couple of interesting seasons at Germany's top flight league, which Germany's top flight league really hasn't produced a whole lot of talent over the past couple years. So on the one hand, I get it at some level of like, we want this guy to get a lot of game time. And respectfully to the Greensboro Gargoyles, he will get every single start for a long time because he's easily the most talented guy on that roster. But on the other hand, I'd much rather see the young guy continue to work with a dedicated goalie coach to continue his development from what we saw over the last couple weeks. And also him not getting a game or any sort of look in preseason while Nikita Quap gets a game gets part of a game is also quite dumb in my opinion. But I'm not a decision maker, but I just thought it was stupid.
Yeah, I mean, with Hazayev, he's an hour and 15 from the Canes, so they're very close. They can keep a close eye on him and work with him. Their other goalie is Dominic Bass, who was a former sixth-round pick by the Chicago Blackhawks, who had an 894 in 10 games with St. Lawrence University last year. And Jake Seibel, a 25-year-old goaltender who last year played for the University of St. Thomas.
Are those?
Yeah.
That's a no. University of St. Thomas is NCAA.
Yep, they are NCAA. That is one of the
Independence, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to.
And so, that's all well and good. Hazayev is the better goalie there. There's a good chance that he gets the bulk of the starts, as opposed to Chicago, where he's not getting any starts.
I would assume he would have gotten the second game of a back-to-back. He would just lead off with Miftakov, and then you rotate to Ruslan. But I don't know. It was something that I just personally didn't like, but I get the reasoning for it. I just would rather see him work with a dedicated goalie coach for longer.
Sure, but if he's an hour and 15 from Carolina, that means they're gonna watch him.
Yeah, means I'll have to if he stays there most of the year, I'll have to go out to a game or two to see him.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more prospects down there because there's a lot of guys that were out of Chicago's lineup last night. Or the
Evan Vierling is still up, who is probably a fringe guy. I mean, Bryce Montgomery is still hanging out with the team. I don't know what's going to happen with Haimo Salmi, but another guy that I wouldn't be shocked to see at least tried to send down.
And because Juha Jaska's still hurt.
Giovanni Smith didn't play
either. On there.
Giovanni Smith didn't play
Giovanni
as
Smith
well.
didn't play, so like
That was
there's a
gonna be
lot of injuries at forward where I think a couple of guys could get sent
so
down.
yeah. That was another thing I was gonna bring up was that they also were really good without a lot of their at least older talent because Yaska's older, Giovanni Smith's older, Gunler is older, kind of. He's like 24 now.
Yeah, Gunler might count as a veteran just on account of games played.
Yeah. Let me just refresh this, but now is going to be the time for your questions. Something that we wanted to do because I think it'd be a little bit more fun. And especially because this episode wasn't entirely as long as some of the other ones that we have, so this gives us a little bit of time here. So I don't. I guess I can. For audio listeners, you probably won't be able to see the tweet, but we will read it out. But for the video watchers out there, which we actually have a good amount of, we're gonna just do that like this. So from Twisted Will on Twitter, will Cerrato be playing in Chicago by season's end? Let me also close my DMs so I don't leak anything bad, even though I don't have anything important in there right now. So will Cerrato be playing in Chicago by year's end? Maybe. If he has a really good year with Penn State, depending on when Penn State ends their season, which hopefully should be in the Frozen Four, I wouldn't be shocked to see Cerrato signed and either playing a game or two with the Canes or playing with Chicago for a playoff run. But it,
Yeah.
it kind of depends on how the rest of his season goes. I think that's kind of the main thing going forward here.
Assuming the rest of the season goes the way this season's currently going, I don't think there's a whole lot left for him at college hockey.
Yeah, especially I think if they win the whole thing, which again, it's very possible that they do just because they're that good. I wouldn't be shocked, but it's definitely a possibility for that. From Bernest Ross, if we remember the NC State basketball player Ernest Ross, who followed me on Twitter on my personal account for a good amount of time, which I'm actually on right now because some of the Twitter in all its glory isn't allowing me to see every reply, which makes everything so much easier to read. Top line stays with Chicago all year, prioritize playing time or looking to activate trade, get playoff roster. So, and the top line was Nadeau, Suzuki, Robida. The only way I don't think it would stay is if Suzuki wants an NHL opportunity somewhere else, or like a devastating injury happens at the NHL level, and one of the other guys gets called up. But I would assume that line kind of stays together all year, and unless again a devastating injury happens at a top six forward, I think Nadeau will also probably stay at the AHL most of the year.
It's kind of funny. I was talking with somebody after Saturday's Wolves game, and we were both like, 31 other teams, Nadeau is in the NHL right now.
Yeah, it's
And
kind of stinks for him, but
this person made a good point. Like it's wild that like the team is deep enough to have a former Hart Trophy winner
on the fourth line,
as their fourth line left winger.
yeah,
Like that's insane. And so like with Nadeau, like he's going to get the most amount of ice time. He's gonna play every situation to prepare him for the NHL. And then Suzuki, he didn't get claimed on waivers. I don't think there's a ton of interest for him out there. I think at this point he is what he is. He's just a good AHL forward.
he's like the perfect tweener. He can be your fourth line center if you need him to be, but he can also just be like Andrew Petrowski at the AHL level. Speaking of Andrew Petrowski, tore up Tractor today. My God, but so did Michael McLeod. So that's a interesting thing. And then Robida is kind of the same thing, but I also think Justin Robida has I think he has more NHL games down the line for also a longer period of time.
Robida projects a little better because he's a lot heavier of a player to play against.
And I would say his compete level higher, and then offensive ability could be higher, and then just a lot of things. But I think most of the thing is like that. Speaking of Ryan Suzuki, from Southeastern Sports Fan, is Suzuki a name to watch for a trade out? Is he even tradable at this point? Where does his career trajectory go from here? I think Matt said it very well.
Yeah.
Is that He's kind of just a tweener. I'm trying to think of like other guys. I guess Andrew Petrowski is a very good answer for that. Trying to think of like other
Terry.
Chris Terry, yeah. Nathan Gerby count?
No, Gerby had a long NHL career.
Oh, Patrick Brown.
Yeah,
Even though he really never got a lot of NHL time.
neither has Suzuki.
Oh well, Patrick Brown then. I'm
Yeah,
trying
so
to
like
think of like other
with
teams.
Suzuki, like the reason there's no trade value at this point and that he's not tradable is like players like him are a dime a dozen. Like he's a good AHL scorer. So are most depth players.
I mean, if
And
I
like Suzuki's not a top six forward, and and he's really not even a third line forward at the NHL. And most teams want their fourth line to be grinding, defensive first, like two-way lines, and that's not the type of player he is. So with Suzuki, you're not really getting that.
sorry, I was gonna make a point if my thing would work here. If we would like to look at some guys who are in the KHL currently, I don't know why this is last year. Oh man, it makes more sense for this year. So if we look at guys for like this year, Josh Lievo, elite AHL scorer, Andrew Petrowski, elite AHL scorer, Radulov doesn't count. Who else? Sam Anas, if I'm not mistaken, was a AHL guy, but I don't think he was like a
Alex
big star.
Limoges, Max
Daniel
Lajoie,
Sprong, Max Lajoie, Nikolai Prokhorkin, Nick Merkley, Pierre Dubé was a big time one. Mike Vecchione,
Riley Walsh. Yeah, so like the point is like
oh
there's a
god,
lot of guys
Adam
that just
Ruzicka as well. Yeah, Bob Nardello's kid.
oh, yeah, look at that.
Yeah. So it's no disrespect to Suzuki at all. I think the player is just what he is at this point, and it kind of sucks that like all the injuries happened because we'll never get to see what he could have been at his actual potential before injuries, of course. This one, PAX or uncasual Pack fan. Sorry for your loss about NC State football, because that sucks to be a fan of. Does CC Charlie Cerrato start to the season change the trajectory he was on as a prospect? Don't want to get too optimistic about seeing him sooner rather than later. I think you should kind of, as long like if you want to see Charlie Cerrato in professional rank, you should root for Penn State to have a very deep run and for him to be a big part of the very deep run. And I think you would see him in the professional ranks of Carolina's system sooner rather than later. Trajectory as a prospect, I said bottom six before the year. I think now is comfortably middle six or very low end top six. But he's going to be a long time NHL player, and he's got a really bright future ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it changes the projection so much as it just kind of confirms what we thought about him. Like, I think there's maybe a little bit more offensive skill than we thought, but like that doesn't change my projection for him. I always kind of thought he was a middle six center.
Yeah.
So for me, like I think the sample size is too early to be like, oh wow. Now, if he's a Hobie Banker finalist at the end of the year, then we can discuss.
Yeah. And obviously he's already had a really nice start to a Hobie Baker campaign, which the Canes haven't had a Hobie Baker campaign to really root for since Jackson Blake. That'll be kind of nice.
2 years ago.
Hey, shut up.
Oh, sir.
I would say we might get a look at tougher comp for Penn State, but they're taking the route their football team did, which is scheduling cupcakes for a couple weeks. Even though Clarkson technically isn't a cupcake, they are cupcake-like in the terms of they're not like a power conference opponent. This weekend, they have the mighty, and I truly mean mighty, Long Island University.
Charlie Cerrato is about to put up generational numbers.
Yeah, man. He has Long Island University and then Stonehill. And then
back-to-back weeks, or is that 1-1?
No, that's back-to-back weeks. That's 2 games against Long Island and then 2 games against
Charlie Cerrato could have 20 points by like the end of the weekend.
I mean, 9 points in 4 games is not out of the question. So, and then one game against Ohio State at the end of the month, one game against Minnesota in November, and then back to hockey in January of next year.
Yeah.
Thanks, Spengler Cup, because all the college kids are going to the Spengler Cup this year, if we remember. And I would fully expect Charlie Cerrato to be on that Spengler Cup team as well.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
It's kind of a couple of the guys were based on last year where he was a top performing freshman, but also they were going to take into consideration this year. Mm-hmm. And he's leading the nation in scoring right now. So I would definitely say he's up there. Howie Handorf, everybody's one of the funnier Twitter people out there. Sorry, I just got off the baseball field and I saw this. Yeah, I do have one question for Matt Gleb.
0 points in his first game.
Oh, he's fourth line. I don't want to hear this.
He's fourth line.
I don't want to hear this.
And they have 3 forwards out.
All right, so Chris or Bad Boy Behagen, I guess. Timetable for Ryabkin to be sent to the Islanders, not going to happen if I had to bet. I think the Canes rather have him
maybe
in the AHL.
If his agent is like, hey, we'd rather have him get some playing time, then the Canes might just send him there.
All right. I personally don't see it, but if it happens, it happens. It's kind of what hockey is at this point. It could happen. It could not happen. There could have been a flurry of trades in the 2025 offseason, but there wasn't. Yeah. He could go to the Islanders or he could just stay with the Wolves. We don't know.
I can answer this next one.
Sean Smith. Ivan Ryabkin, I want to know why not give him third line minutes in AHL. Also, has he always been a violent player? Not saying it. I'm guessing that's supposed to be not saying it's bad, but every time I hear his name, he's evolved in after the whistle stuff. I'll let you go first then.
Yeah, so with Ryabkin, they're trying. He's an 18-year-old playing professional hockey for the first time, going from the USHL to the AHL. That is a huge jump. And so I think they're not trying to overload him and overwhelm him. Like, what good does it do if you play him 18 minutes a night and he gets just absolutely danced around? Like, that's not good. I mean, he had 5 shots on goal in his first game. That's good. You want to see that confidence.
Wait, he did?
Yeah, like it's fine if he's getting fourth line minutes. This is his first professional game, and he hasn't spent that much time in North America.
Don't let my finger look like that. I didn't look. He actually had 5 shots on goal in that one game in the AHL.
Yeah.
Were they just sending Gleb out there saying, "Yo, give him the puck, let's see what happens," or like was he just on the?
I don't know.
I don't know. He might have been on the. He might have been Sugarman on the power play. I didn't think about that.
Maybe
I don't know.
But like I said, that's a big deal. Like it's his first time in North America, like playing pro hockey. Like, and he hasn't been in North America longer than a year. Like he spent the beginning of last year in Russia. Yeah. So, like, I don't hate starting him at a low level and then gradually building up the role. It's the same way the Canes are doing with Alexander Nikita. Now, as for, like, has he always been a violent player? The answer is yes. Like, that was part of the concern.
Yeah, but he wasn't. I wouldn't say he was always a dirty player. He always had violence, but he never really delved into the truly dirty aspect of hockey, in my opinion.
This is a family-friendly podcast, so I'm not going to say the word that I want to say, but he's a you-know-what head. And he always has been. He gets under your skin. He does the extra little cheap shots and the things like that that can kind of toe the line.
Yeah.
And as we've seen with Brad Marchand for years, that works.
It does.
I'm not comparing the two as players. I'm not saying that
definitely are
Marchand. But, like, it's fine that he has these tendencies. People are going to complain and be like, oh, like, you know, he shouldn't be doing this. Like, you know. And
I got 2 words for him.
Yeah, like.
Popularized by DX.
River. Like, clutching your pearls. If Ryabkin played for any other franchise, nobody would have an issue with how he played. It's the
No.
fact that he is on the Carolina Hurricanes reserve list that they're like, oh my god, this guy is ruining the sanctity of hockey.
Dude.
Dylan Griffin, I am
Oh,
calling you out specifically.
I wasn't saying that. I was just gonna
I
say
am looking into the camera and I am saying, Dylan, you shut it. Who cares that he does this stuff? Who cares?
no.
If that's what gets Ryabkin to the NHL, that's fine. There are players that play like that in the NHL today. And you know what? They just won 2 cups.
I was gonna say there's a very prime example of a tall gentleman on the New York Rangers who's kind of the mold of that, where all he does is do cheap shots.
And everybody's fine with Matt Rempe.
Yeah.
And Matt Rempe is dog at hockey.
I think for me, it wasn't so much that it was the second post that kind of got me. Was like, he was making fun of Canes fans for saying that this is really good that Ryabkin is doing this, instead of like, he's supposed to be a highly skilled winger, like, player, but instead he's resorting to cheap shots because he's on the fourth line in the AHL, and it's been one game.
Show me video footage of Ivan Ryabkin displaying elite, and I'm not saying high end, I'm saying elite skill. Show me that clip. Ryabkin does not have elite skill. He's good. He's got decent skill. It is not elite. He's got high-end hockey sense. And again, why would you rush him? Drives me nuts. It was one game into the season, and we're already starting the Carolina's doing something wrong narrative. Oh, they actually hate their prospects. Like, drives me up the wall.
I feel as if that happened. It's been happening the past couple of years for a few players. I don't know like specific examples, but I feel as if there's always one of like, why isn't he here, or something like that. Last year, I can't remember who it was, but I feel as if that's been the case because I've had people complain about it. Let's get back on track. We have 2 questions from Blue Sky. I guess I have to stream this. I kind of forgot. Where is? Please work. Rich Slevs, or Rich in PA. How early is too early for Team Cold and North America watch? Right now it's pretty early for it. He's having success.
A year on his deal.
He's having success in the MHL. He's had some success in the KHL. Absolutely, as Scout backs up my opinion fully.
There's no way killing him. That's so funny.
I mean, he's backing up my opinion, so I agree. He has very little he hasn't played in the VHL in 2 years, so I want to see him get consistent game time at a professional league before I say he's like ready for it. As well, to be fair to Rich, his contract does run out at the end of this year, but I would be shocked to see him come over. But it's one of those things where it's like, I have no clue. I think they probably want to see him with professional game time before they make a decision there. Hopefully I still had enough time. Okay, I did.
Yeah, sorry. I'm looking up the Chicago Wolves roster from the other
night. The only guys I can think of
for that.
The only 2 guys, I think the left side, actually I think the entire left side of their defense is out of contract next year, if I'm not mistaken. Because Sealy was qualifying offer, Bayreuther's 1 year, and then Fensore is 1 year.
Honestly, like, Bayreuther and Sealy, I'm not sure are back next year. Like, I like Ronan Sealy, but I think at this point he's just is what he is. He's an AHL defender. Fensore, I think the Kings look to get back.
He seems to be a good tweener as well.
Yeah. So, like, there's definitely space for him on Chicago's roster next year. So I could see the Canes doing that. I mean, like, you know, he's playing 25 minutes a night already. Like, yes, it's at the U20 level, but like, in my opinion, he's got enough KHL experience to where I'm like, he could probably adjust well enough. And I think just the way he plays is a little more suited for that type of thing.
Yeah. I I also wonder if they want to see the translation of what they put out in their draft stuff of like we want big rangy defensemen who can take away time and space, and he definitely fits the bill of that, and I want to see if they want to just take a chance on it. But again, I can go either way on it because if I'm not mistaken, he is still 19 years old. So he's still
Right.
super young.
Yeah,
Um
a lot of the defensemen the Canes drafted that year are
are huge. Well,
really young.
the three they I was gonna say the three they took, Cole, Saryatsky, who's in the KHL now, and then Roman Chakrin are all 6'4", 6'5", good rangy skating, cool defensemen. So yeah, Cole does not turn 20 until August of next year, so he's got bundles of time. So um I would say personally, probably a little early, but I mean, would it shock me? No. Only the last question comes from Sam Hughes. Would be interested in quality of competition across different leagues? Do the college hockey guys look like they're playing harder comp than Canadian or Russian MHL/VHL? Is there much difference across college teams, and how much changes year to year, like Cerrato versus Poirier? This is a very interesting question, and you kind of have to split it up further than what you already did. So how I would do it is use Canadian Junior, so OHL, WHL, QMJHL, and technically the BCHL. Use all of those for comparison to the MHL and the NMHL. I would use ECHL and AHL as comparison for VHL because that is the technical second league for the KHL. So I would definitely say that. And then I would use KHL as an NHL thing just because they are both the professional leagues. For college teams, I put them in the same comparison as AHL, ECHL, VHL, sorry, because it's the closest thing you can get to professional hockey that isn't professional hockey because you're playing guys from anywhere between 18 and 25 or 26. And with some of the new NCAA rules, you're going to see younger ECHL guys go back to college. So I think it'll become more like a league like that. So that's how I would say. For Serrato versus Poirier, I'm not making that comparison at all yet because it's kind of hard to say. So that will be my comment on that. But that is also my explanation of how I would view different leagues across different hemispheres.
Yeah, college hockey is definitely like a step below the ECHL
It's close
or
though,
like
I'd say.
the pro leagues because like a lot of ECHL players were good college hockey players.
Yeah.
Um, Granted, like it depends on what conference you're playing in, and that's when it gets like weird. Like the top end of like the Michigans, right? Like the Michigans, the Boston University, Boston College, Quinnipiac, Minnesota, like those types of teams, those are going to be the ones that have the most pro prospects, so they're going to be closer to those AHL level teams, right? But like the depth of those rosters usually isn't that great. And then you get to like the worst teams in the conference, like you get to like, Ohio State, Vermont, and then like AIC, St. Thomas, Holy
Yeah.
Cross, like those types of teams, and those types of teams are maybe like a handful of them might go to the ECHL. Most of those guys are done after they play college hockey. So like that there's a lot more variance in college hockey with competition. That's why we're kind of saying like with Poirier, like yeah, it's great that he got a hat trick, but it's also against Holy Cross. So like, whereas like, for instance, I'm just going to throw out an example, like Alexander Siriatsky playing 13 minutes a night at the KHL level. Like that's huge because he's playing in arguably the third best league in the world.
Yeah. So it's more important for a younger guy. Like it's kind of like how Timur Cole would get like 12, 13, 14 minutes at the KHL level, but then play like 25 plus at the NHL level. Much rather would see him get the KHL time than get the MHL time because we kind of know what he is at the MHL level, and the overabundance of minutes just means they have to heavily rely on him. While at the KHL level, he's going to grow and develop more being put into those situations, even if the ice time is lower, because it's so much tougher than the MHL. So that's kind of the reason. But it is a very nice question. And I definitely think like you could do some sort of like presentation or college paper. If I ever have the opportunity to write a paper or something like that, I would definitely do it on that topic.
You do like a little like pyramid, like a tier list.
Yeah.
And I would maybe split up the NCAA into conferences.
Yeah, because that was another thing I was going to say. Like most of the Big Ten, and especially Hockey East, and a good amount of NCHC, that's the highest level of college hockey before you step into pros you could get.
Yeah, and then like
But then like
BCAC, which is like all the Ivy League schools in Quinnipiac.
yeah,
That's like
it's
a tier
lesser.
below because the high end is really good.
Yeah.
The low end is really bad.
And then you go into like independence and stuff like that, and then
Mhm.
you're kind of like, okay, this is where it kind
Yeah.
of drops off. But like, if I would judge it more like, that's why I was so happy with or impressed with Cerrato's games against Arizona State, because of the program they've built and
Yes.
becoming a top end NCHC team comparatively to what he does against Clarkson or what Justin Poirier does against Holy Cross, because they are not as good, even though Clarkson is still halfway decent. But like, those teams I'm not putting too much stock into comparatively to like Arizona State or Poirier whenever he goes plays Quinnipiac in a couple days. So yeah, that is all we really needed to cover. That was all the questions. We got to everything. Anything else you want to say real quick, Matt?
Nope, go Canes, and I'm honestly really happy with where the prospects are at right now. I think we've seen some good performances lately.
Very much so. One thing I do want to try and get some more of during the year is some watch-alongs. I think they're very fun, and I think it's a good way to interact with some people and catch up. Like I was kind of thinking if there's like a Friday or Saturday where we both have nothing going on, and say like the Wolves play and there's college hockey, you could do like a Canes Prospects Red Zone where you get reactions from all across.
That would be impressive.
I think it'd be funny, but I do definitely, I think over the course of the season, get a couple watch-alongs because I think they're fun.
Well, cool. I don't. Am I doing the outro?
No, I was just saying that. I thought you were going to give me a reaction.
Yeah, I mean, I think Red Zone would be cool.
If you hate the idea, just say it. If you don't want to spend time with
It
me,
would
that's
be a
cool.
lot, but you know,
Like, what if it's just like one Wolves game? Would that be so hard?
in all honesty, this weekend would be a fantastic weekend to do it because
I might
Elise
be
is
able
in
to. We might be
Asheville.
able to make that happen.
I was going to say Elise is in Asheville, so that would be a great weekend to do that.
Well, this podcast goes out on Saturday, so you'll know by then if we decide that we actually can do it because the Wolves play
Right.
Saturday, Sunday. So, in any case, thank you for listening to Developing Hurricanes, wherever you're listening it, whether it be on Substack, on the YouTube channel, or on Spotify, or wherever you like to listen to your podcast. We appreciate you listening, and hopefully we get some cool other Canes prospect stories going on that we can talk about here soon. But for now, we're going to go watch Brandon Bussey go make his NHL debut alongside Michael Misa, of course.
Yes, but the real story is Brandon Bussey.
Brandon, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.